Hello and welcome back to the Pokemon Trading Card Game special event in Utrecht in the Netherlands. My name's Oscar and I'm delighted to be joined for a regular format game by the lovely Shay. How you doing, Shay?
I am absolutely ecstatic, not only to be casting this real good matchup, which we'll get to later, but to be casting with yourself. It's been a long time in the works. So I'm glad to get to rock the mics and provide some cracking entertainment for you guys at home.
Yeah, we had a little bit of a warm-up over lunch with some old format games, but this is real. We got ourselves a former world champion, Robin Schultz, and we got ourselves Christian Smit, a local Dutch player as well, to go up against with a spectacular beard. So this is going to be absolutely fantastic. I'm excited about this game, ladies and gentlemen. And yeah, we've got a good matchup. We've got Mew coming in against Hisuian Goodra. So it's a deck we've seen. Goodra's been kind of all over the stream today.
Yeah, I feel as if Goodra is now sort of submitting itself in, because we're kind of in like a mostly 3-deck format, Mew, Lost Box, Lugia. I feel as if Goodra is making a strong case now for being that sort of 4th deck, right? That, is starting to really get some results. It was in the final of Bochum. It was winning regionals not too long ago. And let's look at these prize cards here. 2 Paths prize for Robin. And then for Christian, not really too bad. The Greninja, and then, one of each of the Hisuian Goodra. Could be quite annoying, actually, for him to deal with.
He is playing a free list, so it shouldn't be too bad. The one Genesect stands out, and the only Radiant Greninja, but we are off. Robin's got a Mew in the active, and he's got a turn 1 Battle VIP pass, which is wonderful. Search your deck, figure out what's prized, and then get any 2 basic Pokemon, bench them right away. What's he going for, Shay?
Oh, it's going to have to be double Genesect, right? That's one of the sort of big advantages for playing 4 DTE Mew with no fusion, is that you can get really aggressive with your Genesects and quite often put all 4 down. I guess in a matchup like this where Oricorio might not be super relevant, you can get all 4 and just have a backup Mew. And like you said, be able to just prize check, work out what's going on. Just as a Mew player myself predominantly, if you have that VIP in your opening hand, you're just like, yes, I can hopefully at least get into the game somewhat.
Yeah, it feels really good having that. I mean, Robin's Pokemon list is pretty straightforward. We've got a 4-3 Mew list, we've got 4 Genesect, and we've got that 1 Oricorio just to dampen a little bit of the damage. So we just go straight for 2 Genesect. Of course, lets you draw a number of cards until you've got a number of cards in your hand equal to the number of Fusion Strike Pokemon on the field. So right now, you draw until you've got 4 in play, and straight away, we actually see the turn 1 Forest Seal Stone. Lets you search for any card you like. So that could be a second Battle VIP pass, or it could be saved for a future turn to get a double turbo or something along those lines.
Yeah, I imagine, off the back of this Rotom Throne, maybe we'll see what the Rotom Throne grabs, but if I was Robin, I probably just want to save that Forest Seal Stone. That's going to just let you have a get-out-of-jail-free card at some point in the game, right? If you need to remove your own path, but you haven't got a vacuum, you can then use Forest Seal Stone to grab a vacuum. If you need to find 3 tablets, but you only find 2 throughout the course of the turn, you can just be like, ding, go get another one. And quite honestly, when Forest Seal Stone got released, I thought, God, that is absolutely golly crazy that Mew can now just search the deck for any card. Absolutely insane.
Yeah, Mew is the one that's really taken advantage of that card. And of course, it's worth pointing out, I know some decks wouldn't play it until they actually needed it, but here you want to get every card out of your hand to draw more with Genesect. So just because it's gone down doesn't mean it's being played. But you're saying wow to me, Shay. Why are you saying wow?
Because there's another VIP pass coming on. And what is actually one real interesting thing is that Robin's opted to go for 3 Mews. And what that tells me is that I reckon Robin's going to try and utilize a little bit of a Psychic Leap strategy here, at least. Because you wouldn't really put down 3 Mews otherwise. Psychic Leap could be quite good in the early game for just setting up some damage, maybe carrying these comfies and stuff like this. But look at this board, 3 Mews, 3 Genesects, even got the Forest Seal Stone down. What a gnarly turn. Well, he's still got 2 Fusion Strike systems to go as well.
This one's going pretty well. There's a lot of stuff coming out. We've got those lovely little markers to show that Genesect has already been used, which is lovely for us people watching the stream, that we can really make it nice and clear. And then Robin's got basically everything he needs. It's not even one of those decks where you want to get the energy turn 1, because of course you're only playing the 4 double turbo energy, or DTE as we often call them. So a lot of the time you want to find it as you attack. So once you've got your bench established, you got your Forest Seal Stone, waiting there for the future. That is about as good a turn 1 as Robin could possibly have. Now he throws it over to Christian here, and there's a lot of work to be done. But starting off with a Chorus's Experiment, not bad.
Yeah, I mean, when you're a Lost Zone deck, you need to get to... There's a VIP Battle Pass as well, so everyone's got VIP parties. Wow, that was a really good Chorus as well. Opted... Oh, maybe opt into maybe Lost Zone, the Chorus. And you're thinking, if you're Robin now, if you see a Chorus turn 1 hit the Lost Zone, you're thinking, what ungodly Chorus was that, where a Chorus is now hitting the Lost Zone?
Yeah, you know, if a good card ever gets picked off a Chorus to go into the Lost Zone, you know that they did very, very well off the Chorus. So we do see the Battle VIP pass. We've got another comfort here right off the bat. And then at some point, we're probably going to see a Gudra V, so we can potentially evolve it next turn. Of course, the goal here for Christian, it's 7 cards in the Lost Zone. Yeah. That is so crucial in this matchup, because that is when we unlock the Mirage Gate. And you need Mirage Gate to really get Gudra rolling.
Yeah, it's interesting, because when Gudra first was getting played, we saw Melanie get used to help power it up, but then we've sort of seen that fall out of favour, and Gudra players now really, well, exclusively relying on Mirage Gate, maybe Raihan to power up cards. But you're right, there's a mini game for Christian here. Get cards to the Lost Zone first and foremost, get down Hisui and Gudra basic V, and get to work on Capture Energy gets there. So that's going to hopefully, I imagine, not only provide a retreat for this comp very next to get a second flower selected, but then also, or get scoop up net, but you have to imagine there will be that capture being used as well. Ooh, now that's interesting. He has prized one Hisui and Gudra V.
He's prized a V and a V-star. He's playing a 3-3 line.
3-3 line now.
So there is still one in the deck, but that would still make it very awkward. We did just see him losing a Mirage Gate to flower selecting, which you don't want to do. That is not the ideal. But we see there throwing away the scoop up net, choosing to keep the Gudra V-star. And I think you've called it. There's capture energy. We could see extending for flower selecting, but you're probably just going to see a Gudra V coming out here. Or, in fact, a Cramorant. I kind of like this, getting some early game pressure, getting some early damage on the field. Oh, is there a Gudra V? Oh, no, that's a Luminion in hand.
It's a Luminion.
Oh, but there's a quick pull. Here we go. Just slightly out of order. That makes sense.
Yeah, and it's really interesting because we see eagle-eye viewers, I should say, as Christian goes through the deck, have spotted the cheeky little Drapion, which is obviously an amazing defense against Mew VMAX, you know, that wild style ability, letting use Dynamic Tail for 0 energy cost, which actually one-shots a Mew VMAX due to weakness. So maybe Christian just thinking, you know, all I have to do is try and carry 1 VMAX or 2 Genesects the old-fashioned way, and then just Drapion. But if Christian can't get 2 Gudra down here, you have to imagine Robin could very easily find the boss's orders to KO that Hisui and Gudra V.
Quite possibly. We see another flower selecting here. There's a Comfey and a Zigzagoon. We dropped the Zigzagoon, and there must be another pivot option, because we had 4 in the Lost Zone. Christian chose to put the Comfey active, so he must have a way in hand to get that Cramorant up. We're just going to presumably see an attack on the Mew here, and then, you know, just hope that Robin's not going to be able to get the KO. There is the switch, so we did have that last pivot, and just 110 damage on the Mew.
Fairly good start for Christian, all things considered. You know, that damage is going to be really relevant, bringing it into range of... Oh, the top there, the boss's orders, has the power tablets as well, has a VMAX, so I believe... Oh, still is energy, actually, but you could see the Forest Stone.
There we go. That's what we got. That's why you keep it. That's why you leave it on the board.
Yeah.
So there could be a very big cat, and I like that for Robin here. I love the idea of taking out that Hisui Gudra V and just saying to your opponent, look, enjoy your 110 damage a turn with Cramorant. That is not going to cut it in this matchup. We know that Christian's playing a Drapion, but it's not exactly a staple in Gudra, so that might be something that catches Robin unawares.
And that's that's the crazy thing about Drapion, right? In has the Serena as well. Okay,
that'll do.
Yep, I mean, works exactly the same functionality right now. But that's the scary thing about Drapion who are Mew players, that if it comes down unexpected, you can lose 3 prizes in 1 attack, sometimes 4 if they play Sky Seal Stone. Now, Christian doesn't play that. And there we see the alternate art Mew VMAX as well. Yeah. Well, that is a nice-looking card in Fusion Strike system. There's a scary thing about Mew, is that you don't have to use that Forest or Stone straight away. You can still draw into what you need, in which case Robin might be able to hold on to this V-Star Star Search there. But looks like got Ultra Ball, really good for thinning the hand and using Fusion Strike system again.
Yeah, and that might be what we see here. And you've got the tool to fall back on the Forest Seal Stone. Looks like we're actually throwing one away with an Ultra Ball, or at least considering it. Yeah, so throws away the other one. We got one on the board. We don't need 2. Only 1 per turn. Throws away the boss's orders as well, because really the gusting you needed was on that Gudra there, and goes to get the Mew VMAX, which is obviously a good thing here. And then it looks like we've got the PAL pad here, just getting some supporters back. Probably those gusting options, and it is Serena and Boss.
Yeah, it's really interesting because Mew's one of those decks that I think can try and reset that rolling iron by like sending the Gudra to the bench and then bringing it back up via like escape ropes, and then a combination of gusting cards like the Serena and Boss that we saw shuffled in. And it's worth noting that Robin's Mew list, you know, it has got some interesting stuff that we might not see. You know, 4 copies of the Rotom Throw, not something you see terribly often now in the DT deck. 2 copies of Switching Cups, allowing you to sort of Marnie-proof yourself, as it were, and, you know, and that copy of Pal Pad. So Robin's really played some interesting cards, but, you know, ex-world champion, sure, he knows what he's doing, right?
Yeah. You generally don't win worlds unless you're at least pretty good at the game.
You have to be, at least know what's going on a little bit. Still hasn't found that DTE yet, though.
Might have to actually, unfortunately, go for the VMAX to use it. There are some burnable cards in hand, but the things like Power Tablet. Power Tablet's huge in this matchup.
Yeah.
You talked about resetting the, you know, Gudra's reduction of damage.
Yeah.
And then you can do it with 2 Power Tablets. If you don't, you actually can still get a KO on a fresh Hisui and Gudra, but you need 4 Power Tablets and you need a Choice Belt, which is doable, but you cannot be burning these cards early. He says as Robin plays a Power Tablet, but I see where we're going here, essentially saying, I don't need to worry about a Hisui and Gudra V-Star if I KO the only V on the field now.
Yeah, no, you're exactly right. I mean, if you KO this, Robin's thinking there shouldn't be a V-Star coming out anytime soon. And if Christian can only keep putting down 1 Hisui and Gudra V, Robin can always just try, you know, Boss's Order, Serena it, and just sort of stop that there in the tracks, as it were. One of the weaknesses of playing a quote-unquote stage 1 of the V-Star, you have to find a basic. Mew is very good at, like, grinching those basics really fast.
Something we know that Robin doesn't know, there's a Gudra V prized.
Yes.
So if Robin KOs this one, the chance of Christian playing 2 next turn is basically 0. I'm not seeing any recovery in the deck list at all, so Christian will basically be able to play 1 Gudra, and if Robin gusts it and KOs it, that will be the game.
No, I mean, I think he does play 2 copies of Ordinary Rod, sorry, Christian.
Oh, he does,
yeah.
You're absolutely right. My apologies on that one.
Does play 2, but then...
But it's still awkward, you've got to get it back in and draw into it.
And we've seen quite regularly, actually, over the course of these Lost Boxes, they don't actually play a ton of ways to search basic Pokemon. 2 copies of Quick Ball, for example, so you might be able to get it back in the deck, but then you have to draw back into it. So you're right, the chances of Christian putting down 2 here are quite low. But as Christian does start his turn, there's a Luminion. Let's see what this finds then. Is it going to be a Colress? I think it has one in hand, actually, so...
Colress, Boss and Roxanne, they're the options. Roxanne's not going to work right now, so it does look like we're just going for a Colress here. And I kind of like this, but see, we know already that now Christian is giving up on the double Gudra because there aren't bench spaces for a double Gudra, which might even make Robin think, why is he not going for the double Gudra, which kind of gives a little bit. And if I'm Robin and I see a single Gudra going down here, I am hunting that thing down.
Yeah,
I am going after it.
I am. We do see the Ordinary one, actually. We see the V-Star, we see a Capture. You have to imagine Christian's... I mean, Robin didn't get a path to the peak down, so that means Drapion is live. So I wonder if Christian's going to try and utilise Drapion here. You have to imagine... I mean, that's the only way you really get back in this game. You can't afford, I believe, to just put down a Gudra V and then pass it over. Because, you know, like you said, Robin's just going to go turbo mode to try and get the KO on that.
Absolutely. But then we're going to need a scoop up now or something. Because I don't think you can end this turn with just a Drapion, which is going to get return KO'd. And then you've got nothing on the field. You've got no really good attacker out there. Although, we do have the damaged Mew. So that could be, you know, kind of prizes... 4 and 5, and then I suppose you take out something like a Genesect, but you will need an attacker to do that. So I like the Drapion here. I think the Drapion's the correct play, absolutely. I'm just saying I kind of want to see a Gudra V on the bench as well, or else your only play next turn is Cramorant onto the damaged Mew, and if the Mew V maxes, then it's out of range. What are you attacking with next turn?
I guess the sort of dream scenario, if the Christian can't get another Hisui and V down, he might just opt to try an Ordinary Rod and find the Drapion again to try and get an immediate KO on there. And that's the sort of downside to the DTE version of Mew, is that you have to attack with a free prizer. There is no Meloetta, there is no other Pokemon. You have to attack with 2 free prizes, and that leaves you vulnerable to just Drapion. So Robin does have Outstoke in Lost City, this Drapion, to stop that dead in its path. Could also play Path to the Peak as well. That's the sort of defenses. But as it stands now, Drapion, the great equalizer in the Mew matchup, being able to just swing with that wild style, reducing that attack cost down to 0, and a big KO there.
Yeah, that was a great play from Christian. Exactly what he needed to do. I'm still slightly worried about his next turn, but it really comes down to what Robin does here. And I think you've hit the nail on the head there with the Lost City. The Lost City is going to be a really big card this turn, because if Robin can Lost City and then KO, KO is not a difficult thing. But if he can get the Lost City, then that is going to be a big deal in terms of getting rid of that Drapion and making sure it can't come back.
Yeah.
Worth pointing out, Robin still has that Forest Seal Stone, has not used it yet.
You are correct.
So that means that there is going to be one guaranteed whatever card you like. So I like Robin's chances of doing this here and putting Christian in a very awkward situation.
I think it's the only play you can't afford. I mean, there is one in deck. Robin did actually get rid of a Lost City on turn 1, I believe, but does play 2 copies and it is there in the deck. So I think you can't really entertain this this Drapion coming back. But that's the thing about Drake. You have to answer it as the Mew player, because you can't set it running, but you can't boss around it because it just comes straight back. Another defense can be part of this pick as well, turn off Wild Star, but then, funnily enough, you can just Mirage Gate to it and attack with it the old-fashioned way. So Robin, like you said, still has a few hurdles here. Starts to find DTE, still needs to find one modifier. I believe he has Choice Belt in hand. So does have the outs. Start off Rotom Phone. Love a Rotom Phone, me. Whoa.
Yeah, gotta love a Rotom Phone. Lets you kind of stack the top card of your deck so you know what you're going to be drawing into. I'm not seeing anything there. I mean, we're really looking for Double Turbo and Lost City, and we're not seeing either of them in the hand, unfortunately. So it's not perfect yet. But I mean, Cramomatic is probably your best option there, because you can at least flip, and if you flip ahead, hey, I get whatever card I want. That combined with the Forest Seal Stone guarantees the cards you need. Yeah,
that's like a Starbirth without having an Arceus in play, right?
I know, right?
Just ding ding, 2 cards that I want. That's ridiculous. But I think Robin realising, yep, I can just, you know, Cramomatic away the Lost Vacuum in my hand, and then have, you know, 50-50 chance of getting exactly what I want. So let's see what Robin does here. Starts all his Genesects available to him here. We had see Choice Belt, love that. That means no Power Tail struggles to attach it there. And let's see what Robin does. The hand is a little bit clogged in the sense that he won't be drawing a terrible amount off this initial Fusion Strike system.
This is why I think the Cramomatic could be so big. He needs 2 cards. If he hits heads on Cramomatic, he can just literally go and get the 2 cards that he needs, and then he's going to be absolutely sorted. He's going to be fine. If he doesn't hit heads on Cramomatic, then we are in a much more awkward situation. And we do see just burning a Power Tablet here, just going for that Fusion Strike system. And once again, Robin is waiting as long as possible to use that Forest Seal Stone. I will use it when I absolutely have to.
And here we go, big Cramomatic flip. Remember, if it's heads, Robin can search any card he would like from his deck. Here we go.
He got it.
4. So what do you reckon? Does this find deep? This probably finds Lost City, right? She have more. Ooh,
I
go for
like
the
this.
That's why Robin is a world champion.
No, but see, I think we're still going in the same way here. You're still basically going, I'm getting rid of Drapion and making sure you can't reuse it. But I like this kind of, hey, while we're there, why don't I put you down to a very small hand size as well? So it's just one more way of achieving the same goal here. I mean, Robin only plays 1 copy of Roxanne. So it's why it's such a good card to get off of your Cramomatic, because it is a singlet in the deck. But putting your opponent down to a 2-card hand, you're going to KO the Drapion. But and I think he drew the Lost City a minute ago. I believe he did.
But like I said, just looking at his hand there, I think he actually has the Lost City in hand. And you know what? I love the Roxanne, because we've seen 1 Colress hit the Lost Zone. I think we've seen 2 get played already. So Robin's saying, right, if I Roxanne you, chances are you're not going to find a Colress. So I'm going to really, you know, put the pressure on. Ooh, is he debating whether to use a Path to the Peak instead?
I don't mind this play when you're putting your opponent down to 2 cards, because it also, you know, what if your opponent has another Luminion in play, or some, you know, what if they get their Radiant Greninja and start using and sealing cards? So this turns off more than just your Drapion. Now, he has gone for the Lost City, but that's essentially where the thought process comes in. I can start off a lot with Path.
No, I've actually been in this scenario many a times at local league. I'm thinking, if I put the Path down, they have to then find ordinary rods, quick ball capture. Chance of them doing that with no ability is quite low. But if it does happen, you instantly lose the game then. So I think you have to sort of just say, you know what, I could get fancy with it here and, you know, I could use the path, but let me just fully send this Drapier on to the lost turn to make sure it doesn't come down.
Yeah, and I do think that is absolutely the right play. We just saw a little chuckle there as Robin's V-Star marker gets replaced with an official one there, because I think everyone's thinking, hang on a second, Robin's about to V-Star. We need to make sure we show everyone. And I do think we are probably going to see that, but then again, we still got Roxanne to be played. It looks like we've got at least, I think, 2 Fusion Strike systems, so Robin can still reach pretty far without using the Forest Seal Stone, and I love just keeping that and keeping it and keeping it. And I will use it when I'm good and ready.
Exactly, and the longer you hold on to it, the more of like a just get out of jail free card it is, right? So if I need to find a skate rope to remove this Gudra, I can do that. If I want to find a boss, so I can pick up this Luminion and close the game out next turn, I can do that. And yeah, you just want to try and keep it there as long as you can, because it's honestly such a crazy card, honestly, for Forest Seal Stone, being able to get any card you want at any time. Godly. And
it's kind of interesting, it works on turn 1. Because it actually goes on any Pokemon V rather than having a V-Star. It is one of the very few situations in which you can use a V-Star power turn 1, and even going first, even if you can't attack, you can search anything out, which most V-Star powers you can't. So kind of an interesting little wrinkle with these ones. We do see the double turbo, and that's everything. We saw the Roxanne, we saw the City, we saw the DTE, and we didn't see him use the Forest Seal Stone.
Yeah, so you know what that means. Chances are Robin can just easily find a Gust card. And Christian's in a spot of bother now, realistically. There is no Hisuian Gudra V down. Drapion has been sent to the Lost Zone. Doesn't play 2 copies, no. So doesn't play a Thornton. So none of that business happening. So Christian, I think, might just have to, I don't know, just find a Chorus though off the Roxanne. What? Love to see. I think it was his last copy, actually. Let's see what you get here. So finds his own Roxanne, funnily enough. Mirage Gate, a fantastic card to see. Easily getting rid of Roxanne and Boss there.
Yeah, and I think at this stage you're just trying to take prizes. The problem is, you know, you can 2-hit KO the Mew and you'll win the game, but what are you KOing with? Like, are you going to attack with Cramorant and then... I mean, there is a way here where you kind of attack with Cramorant this turn, play the Gudra V, and then hoping you can use the V-Star next turn. And then, of course, you've got a single prizer in the active, forcing Robin to have that Gust to win the game. It's not a great plan, given the respective board states. Yeah. But it could work.
I mean, you could maybe even see like an Aqua return and just hope, try and find a Gudra V Aqua return, set it up for the... But then that's going to use Mirage Gate at that point. And it looks like, we are going to see the Mirage Gate here. Christian does play the 4 copies of that, so, that could work. And I quite like that, being able to at least remove the 2 prizes so Robin can't win exactly next turn without some shenanigans anyway. But... yeah, I don't mind, but that's going to be 1 less Mirage Gate if you just set up your Gudra with, so it's a little bit of a catch-22 there. Here we see an escape. That's actually kind of interesting, because that's going to reset the text of Technoblast, meaning that Mew V Max can attack next turn.
Yeah, this is such an interesting one for me, because as much as I like using the Aqua return this turn...
Double Temper Center.
Oh, well, that's fine.
Yeah.
It's all right. We're not really at that stage of the game. It's nice. It is a nice little counter, and you'll certainly want to play one, but... For Christian here, Robin's playing like 5 stadiums total, so you're not going to stadium lock him, especially with the Forest Seal Stone. He's got the return. So, as much as I like doing the 120 here, you're not actually taking a KO, and you're not even putting the damage on a free prizer. Yeah. So you've used a bunch of resources. Is it getting you realistically any closer to winning the game? You're not going to lose next turn, absolutely. But what have you done to get yourself closer to winning the game? Yeah. Because, I mean, I suppose maybe Cramorant can take 2 KOs in a row now, but you ain't getting 2 turns, not with Robin's board and having, after this turn 1 prize remaining.
Yeah, you're 100% correct. I think that escape rope was really unfortunate there for Christian. I imagine that must have been the only way he could get out of the active. But like you said, that just let Robin absorb that damage onto a Mew V. But an interesting scenario here. Robin has 2 Mew Vs in play that have damage. So if he wants to evolve into a V Max, it will be damage. You could even see a play here, actually, where you go for a Psychic Leap and remove the damage as well.
Absolutely, you want a Psychic Leap here. There's a Comfy in the active with 10 HP remaining.
Yeah.
So Psychic Leap to save one of them, and the other one, it doesn't really matter if it goes away because you've still got nothing but 2 and 3 prizes out. So here, I'm certainly thinking Psychic Leap would be a great idea if that was a route you wanted to go down. And then, of course, you're using an energy, but you're not keeping it on the board where it can be removed. And we do see a judge here. So, Robin, and actually Christian says, you know what?
Yeah.
I'm going to shuffle everything into my deck. It's game 2.
Yeah, let's put it all back in the deck and try again.
Shuffle my hand into my deck. How about my hand, my bench, my discard pile,
Prizes,
the whole works?
Everything, get it all in the deck and run it back. I don't mind that concession there. You know, there wasn't really a wink on there, I feel, for Christian. He wanted to try and get as much time possible for game 2 and 3. And Robin, I have to say, confidently in the driver's seat for that game.
Yeah, that was absolutely brilliant. You know, even the Drapion, and everybody thinks, well, Drapion's out, Mew's gone. No, Drapion came out in Lost Origin. That was like 2 sets ago. It's clearly a very, very good tech, and it's clearly something very good. And if you commit to double Drapion, yeah, that is actually a really good Mew counter, I'll be honest with you. But most decks don't want to do that, partly for the deck space and partly because, of course, you're then more likely to start with it or have it clogging up your hand. And so one Drapion, Robin's like, nah, mate, I got this.
Yeah, especially if you can combine it with a Lost City there. The game does right. If you fall too far behind, Drapion can't actually catch you back up in the race anyway. And it's really interesting to just go, I think, lose to the strength of Mew, that a card like Drapion can exist still. And Mew still has so many answers, you know, Lost City, even Path to the Peak, like you were alluding to on that one turn there, is almost like a soft answer, right? Yeah. So many different ways to counterplay. And it just goes to show you, like you said, one Drapion is not enough to just auto-win the Mew match.
No, good advantage, good help. It's certainly going to get you kind of halfway there.
Yeah.
But the problem was Christian was unable to take the other KOs. What you really want to be doing here is setting up a KO on a Mew VMAX and then bringing in the Drapion to finish the game.
Yes.
But we never, and that was the thing, with having a Gudra KO'd early, with having one in the prizes, Christian basically had one go and that was it.
And yeah, and it looks like, you know, kicking over to game 2. Christian has a nice start here, though. You know, we've got the VIP Battle Pass, got the concealed cards, which was prized in the last game as well. So that could hopefully give Christian a little bit, as he revealed that by accident, give him a little bit of extra draw for the rest of this game and gets that straight out of the active spot. I like that. You don't want that good ninja taking any extra damage. Flower selecting. Get that energy, so it gets the early energy attachment here on the Gudra. Maybe you can threaten it a little bit more this game, hopefully.
Yeah, and of course the great advantage of using the scoop up net to get Greninja out the active means you can double concealed cards, draw a whole bunch here, and this is looking so much better. You've got your Comfey down, you didn't get the energy on Gudra in the end, didn't need it, content with the setup you've got. One card in the lost zone, but what's really important here is the board state.
And Christian did draw into his Drapion, so at any time you can spring that little Drapion trap, as it were, onto Robin. But Robin could equally, you know, play a Judge and get that straight back out the hand, or maybe even a Marnie. So let's see what Robin got. Equally having a fantastic start, though. VIP Battle Pass and getting down plenty of Pokemon.
Yeah, that's what you're looking to go for here. Bunch of Genesect, bunch of Mew. We saw in the previous game, and you said it at the beginning, Robin's like, nah, mate, we don't really need the Oricorio. It's not that big in this matchup. It's there for matchups where that reducing 20 can really make a difference and save some key KOs. This is not that matchup, unfortunately. So you leave that in there, and it's whether you go 3 Genesect, 3 Mew, or 4 Genesect, 2 Mew. I like the way Robin played the previous game, and I think we could see a similar thing here. Either way, we're going to draw a whole bunch of cards, and there's no great turn 2 going first play, turn 1 going second play with Mew, unfortunately. You don't have that Meloetta in this particular build, but you can certainly set up nicely.
I guess the best turn 2, the best turn 1 play going second with DT Mew is kind of go Judge slash Marnie slash Path to the Peak. That is your turn, that is your play that you really want to do, and just limit your opponent. And, you know, these Lost Zone decks like to grow their hand over the course of the game. If you can just reset that, and then from turn 2 start applying pressure, taking prizes, and really putting the pressure on, that's the ideal scenario there for Robin. But Christian, you know, I'm liking this board right here.
Yeah, he's got the 2 Comfey, he's got the Greninja for drawing cards, he's got the Gudra, and he knows he's got that Drapion in reserve. And the thing is, Robin knows it too now. Robin might not have been expecting it game 1. You know he's expecting it game 2. So it's not a case of trying to avoid it. You can't really avoid it because you've only got one viable attacker. It is a case of making sure that we see a repeat of what happened in game 1. It can hit the field, but it cannot stay around or hit the field twice. As we see the Forest Seal Stone coming down,
And there's the judge as well. Oh my goodness. You know what? If I'm on the receiving end of a turn 1 judge, if I win first, I'm terrified because there's no guarantee you're going to draw anything good here. And like I said, these lost box decks look to grow their hand, have their options. If you can just deny them, maybe even combine a path to the peak so you can turn off the concealed cards, this could get a little bit dicey for Christian.
Yeah, I want the path to the peak here because you know your opponent's got a flower selector they're going to be able to use. You know they've got a concealed cards on the board if they get an energy, and potentially more flower selecting if they get any pivoting cards. So you do want to try and make sure you limit those options as much as possible. Judge path turn 1 is huge because other than that, Robin's got exactly what he wants. He's got the free Mew, he's got the free Genesect, he's been able to play the judge, and I don't think it's important enough to use a V-Star power, but it might be, and he at least has the option.
Yeah, it's just, you know, if you're 1-0 up, you might think, yeah, let me just really put the pressure on here and try and grind the game out. Looks like Robin's not options though. Did go into the path to the peak, unfortunately. As it goes back over to Christian, let's see how the judge treated him, as it were. Does always have the flower selecting, and then maybe a concealed card if there's an energy. Switch escape rope. Probably don't want to play the escape rope, right? That sort of helps out Robin by pushing the Genesect to the bench.
Yeah, don't give him a free retreat.
Yeah,
so
you don't want to do that.
Because the other thing is, of course, you don't really want to be using your double turbo energy to switch. So, you know, Robin's got a switch and an escape rope. So there's not a huge amount of ways to pivot. You don't really want to use the energy to do it.
That hand is not that great, though. Does have a switch, so can use another flower selecting here. Does have a capture energy as well, but I think we've seen... Oh, we have seen concealed cards be used, sorry. Boss is Surian. Oh, no. That is not particularly great at all. I think already has a V-Star in hand, so we'll opt to keep the boss. Don't mind that, but... I think, was the capture energy still in hand, or did it get concealed cards? Oh, no, it's still there.
Still there.
Okay, so that's not too bad then. So we can see some extra search. And I guess we do see the V-Star, so we can at least get the V-Star roll, well, not rolling, but at least in play. Yeah. But then if it's not in combination with Rolling Iron, he said it's very vulnerable to just getting 3 modded and KO'd, you know, any combination of 3 Tower Tablets and Choice Belt. And Robin already has a Mew with a Choice Belt as well.
Yeah, he absolutely does. Of course, you know, the double turbo energy, we do need to remember, does reduce the amount of damage that you're doing here. So that is why we need kind of 3 mods rather than the 2 in order to get the KO on the fresh Hisui and Gudra. It's a bit awkward, but it is absolutely doable. And, you know, you've won game 1 as Robin. There's 20 minutes left. You're feeling pretty confident about this. Yeah. We do see Temple of Sinnoh coming down, so that is going to force a stadium response out of Robin next turn.
And that's a really interesting one, because Robin doesn't want to put down a Lost City now, because he wants to save that for JP. And as Robin does actually have a Lost City and a Path to the Peak prize. And you don't want to put down a Path, because that turns off your own Genesect. So either staging replacement from Robin, not ideal. Probably wants to try and use a Lost Vacuum to get rid of that Temple of Sinnoh.
He does play a couple of those. That would also be an option. And like I say, every time, if there's anything that Robin ever really wants here, all you need to do is use the Forest Seal Stone. Yeah. And then you can just guarantee it. Now, we saw Robin never actually used it in game 1, not even a little bit. Didn't need it, drew into everything he needed, but it is an option as we go, as long as he doesn't play Path to the Peak, which would... No, you can use it under the Path to the Peak. Well, that was the awkward ruling we came across. Genesect's ability goes away, but the actual tool ability remains, because it's not actually an ability of the Pokemon. It's a very strange ruling that people thought was a bit weird, but that is the way that it works. We've had it confirmed.
That is just the way the cookie crumbles there, and that's actually one of the main uses of the Forest Seal Stone, actually, is when you just, like, you judge yourself, you path, then play judge, and then you just use the Forest Seal Stone to remove the path next turn. As we do see the stadium get removed, and we see a full, or 5 cards there, I think, off the 06. Gets the DTE as well. We see two mods in play right now currently, Choice Belt and a Power Tablet. So we just see Gust plus 1 more modifier, and then Robin will be able to KO that Hisui and Gudra V-Star.
If he can get out the active.
Yes. So
it looks like at the moment he's not. Now, do you really want to leave a Mew in the active to KO a Comfy, knowing your opponent plays Drapion? Probably not.
No way.
So Robin probably doesn't actually want to switch out this turn. Robin wants to kind of wait until he's got some kind of gusting option, or just a better thing to hit, essentially, because if you KO a Comfy and then your opponent goes Drapion, you feel bad.
No, yeah, that is quite honestly one of the worst prize trades you could imagine, right? You took 1, they took 3. But it looks like, I think Robin's going all in though. He had to play the power tablet, got the DTE. I mean, he does play 2 switching cards, 1 rope, 1 switch, but 1 rope's actually prized. So Robin only has 1 copy of switch to work with here. So this could get a little bit interesting. You know, Robin's not playing the cross switches, which would have been a fantastic card to utilize.
Oh, that'd be amazing right now.
Yeah, it would be. But here we see another fusion strike system. I think that was for 5. And let's see what he draws here.
I mean, he wants that switch.
Oh, he drew the switch!
He actually hit the
He drew the switch! You know, we can Forest Hill Stone for the boss. And, oh, it's only 1 more modifier, actually. Has he got another power tablet as well? Oh, my goodness. Robin Schultz just drawing it all, baby.
This is working pretty gosh darn nicely. Now we see the Serena. Oh, gee, I wonder what he's going to choose.
Yeah, wow.
With Serena, so actually the only target is Gudra, but that's still the right target.
And then you can Forest Hill Stone for the last modifier if you don't draw into it here. Let's see if Robin draws into it on his 2 cards. Power tablet. He drew it! There's no way! There's no way! Robin Schultz needs to get a lottery ticket ASAP after this round. Just drawing it. Oh, wow, what a turn. Ross, we literally pieced together the turn at the start, right? We said, you know, Gus plus 3 modifiers. Robin's only gone and done that all without using his V-Star, so the V-Star's still there.
I mean, it's almost like Robin set himself a challenge. Like, look, I'm going to put it down, but I'm not going to use it. I don't need it. And actually, all last game and so far here doesn't need it. And now Christian is once again in a super awkward situation. You had the V-Star. It's been KO'd. There's no V on the board. And Robin's side of the board is very, very well established here. So if you just go and bench a Gudra, it is going away. So we're probably going to be exactly where we were in the previous game. Christian's going to go for
Drapion. It's got to be. It's going to be. It's the only thing you can do now. But like you said, if Robin can respond with a Lost City again, you're going to be out of luck. So we do see the Hisuian Guja V go down, and so Robin is in a strong position here. That was an incredible turn. They've still got the get out of jail free card with the V-Star. Christian, let's see what Optic goes. I mean, this has to be for Drapion, right? It's going to have to be. Yeah,
it has to be for Drapion. Has to be.
So then, one interesting thing to realise is, though, that Robin, I think, has used 3 power tablets. So he's won his first turn just to draw more. And then seen the choice belt, 2 more get played. He only has 2 modifiers left in the deck. So because as a Mew player, it always really frustrates me. You actually have to find a modifier to KO the Drapion. Drapion can KO you for no energy for 3 prizes. I have to find 1 modifier to KO you. So that could be a little interesting minigame for Robin. But the way Robin's been drawing, I don't think it's going to be much of a problem at all.
And you've always got the Forest Seal Stone, which Robin, we know clearly Robin doesn't want to use it, but it's always there as an option if he so wishes.
What an insult, though, man. Find it, I don't even need it. I don't even need it. I just draw into it. Love to see it. One interesting thing, though, is that ordinary rod's being used now, which means that's 1 less ordinary rod for Christian to shuffle back in this Drapion, potentially. So got to keep eyes on that as well.
Yeah, I mean, Robin here, but there are 2 copies of Lost City in the deck. One seems to have gone. It's not still in play, is it?
No, I think it got lost vacuumed away.
That's what I'm thinking. It seems to be in the lost zone here. So essentially, he will need to go and find that, though he does have options. If he can get rid of that Drapion, at least though, Christian has the Gudra.
Yeah, has got, yeah.
So unlike in the previous game, he is able to set up a backup attacker here. And Robin is not going after the Gudra. We know that for certain.
I believe the last Robin's second copy of Lost City was actually in the prize cards, and I think he took it out on that KO. So yeah, there you can see it in hand. So he's already got that. Still needs to find a modifier though to actually take this KO on Drapion. And let's see what Robin can do. Like I said, does still have the Forest Hill Stone just to find it, and there is still always debating actually. Interesting. I think you have to. I think he's debating whether to go Path to the Peak or Lost City. I think you have to. You can't leave that Drapion door open. You just can't do it. No. It's just 2 games to find. Here we see a judge as well.
But you want the judge path combo, right? That's what you're going for here. Put your opponent down to a 4-card hand, turn off the abilities of that Pokemon that have a rule box, and just hope they have nothing. But you can't do that, because then if the Drapion comes back out, you are going to feel bad about it. Get rid of the Drapion. You leave your opponent on a small hand. That's what you're doing here. And it's not a perfect situation, but I think here that is about the best we're going to go for. And if Robin can pull that off, go down to 2 prizes left, Christian's got a not ready Hisui and Gudra, and that's about it.
Exactly, and you know you're going to give Christian a 4-card hand, say you need to evolve this, you need to get 1 more in the lost zone, and you need to find a Mirage Gate. And if you can do that, fine, then then I'll cross that bridge if it comes to it. If not, I'm just going to try and take 2 prizes really fast. Let's see if Robin draws into a modifier here. Still needs to play a modifier to actually get this KO.
Yeah, unfortunately, of course, Mew does 210 when copying Genesect. And Drapion has 210, but of course the double turbo energy reduces the amount of damage you do by 20, so you need that modifier to essentially undo the damage done by double turbo. Such a good card, they had to give it a downside. Fine, you can have 2 colorless energy on any Pokemon you like, but you've got to, reduce your damage to do so. Yeah,
I don't mind it. Sort of gives you a little bit of limiting factor if you want to accelerate his energy cost. And here we see the Rotom Phone. I love Rotom Phone so much in Mew. Just giving you a little bit extra dig to try and find that modifier. Let's see what those 5 are. We see a boss, we see a tablet, we see another Rotom Phone. Looks like Robin's going to go for the Rotom Phone, doing the Rotom Phone chain, as it were, where you say, right, this one wasn't what I need. Let's try the next one. See what's on the other end of the phone line.
I mean, it might help. It might do the job. I mean, right now, we just need that 1 modifier. That's all we're searching for here. So, I mean, getting your Rotom left on top is fine. But like you say, it needs to be a draw it, use it, chain it. Because actually, you know what? This isn't going to do it. But we got 3 more Genesect to go. So, yeah, if you don't get what you want here, you're going to definitely have a Rotom Phone to try and make sure you've got what you want. Well, after the next Genesect. Or maybe even the next one after that.
Here we see Cramomatic, and it's going to be
a 4. He's got the head.
So you have to imagine he probably finds modifier at this moment in time. I think that was a modifier. Yeah, I think
he's got power tablet in hand now.
So 2 power tablets left. 1 has just been chosen, I believe. And that puts Robin in a really good position. 2 prize cards away from winning the game. Can even just try and utilize Boss's orders twice. Just KO, Comfey, or, Greninja. Any combination, anything like that. And Robin has been put on a masterclass here. The way he's been able to manipulate the deck, via these Rotom Phones and thinning the deck and all this good stuff. And I think just really sequencing correctly to draw what he wants.
And after Robin takes this prize, he's going to have the escape rope. So he doesn't even need to gust 2 times. He uses the escape rope once.
That's a good point.
Forest Seal Stone to guarantee the other one. So Robin is not going to struggle to KO 2 weak bench Pokemon here. If a Drapion hits the Lost Zone, and we know it's about to hit the Lost Zone, Robin can literally just use escape rope 1 turn, Forest Seal Stone for Gust the other, and that will just finish out the game. If Robin can just keep attacking, he's going to win this game.
Yeah, you're right. In this scenario, escape rope would be just as good as Boss's orders. As long as you can take a prize card off the back of the escape rope, takes the pressure off your boss. And over to Christian here. Let's see what he can manufacture this comeback. Oh, wow, that's a tough decision.
Yeah. Well, I mean, to be fair, Luminium probably would end up going to get you the chorus anyways, to just skip the middleman.
And it's also a Boss's orders target to just
you would not want to leave it on the bench. You would lose a game, and that would be a bad thing.
Don't want to lose the game. Chris is going to go down swinging. Does have the V-Star in hand, actually, by the looks of it. Yeah, that hand. Oh, let's have a look. So a Mirage Gate, a scoop up in it. It might have an ordinary one, actually. But, yeah, not looking the greatest. Let's see what's in the discard pile. So what's in that hand? Getting rid of a Metal Energy and a Battle VIP pass. If you don't mind seeing Battle VIP pass.
You do not.
And there we see the Hisuian Gudra V. So does have 10 lost zones, I believe. Does have a Mirage Gate in hand. So we will see, eventually, I believe, a Rolling Iron this turn. It only takes, by turn 5, game 2. But we will see the Rolling Iron, which is a strong attack. Don't get twisted. 200 damage and then reduces damage by 80. That is a massive number.
But we are 38 minutes into a best-of-3 with Hisuian Gudra V-Star. We would like to have seen a little bit faster, I think is fair to say. So,
100%, yeah.
The good news is we can see it, but it's not going to take a KO. Now, Robin will have to retreat, of course, because when you copy Genesect's Technoblast, you can't use it the following turn. But Mew does have free retreat, so a switch plus a retreat or a retreat plus an energy, and then play that escape rope. I know you've got the escape rope, so you've already got it.
Yeah, it's got the
so you escape rope into a Mew, retreat into the Mew with the energy, take the prize, and then worry about it for next turn. So I think Robin is in a great position here, and honestly, I kind of like the idea of trying to find that energy, escape rope into a new Mew, put the energy on, and then actually attack with a clean Mew. We've got 2 double turbo in hand there, it looked like, for Robin. So,
Yeah,
there is not going to be any issues here. It looks like Robin has got everything he needs to finish out this game.
But I guess Robin is actually, I mean, if he doesn't see it, he's boss away from losing, though, right? I mean, because it's Kasui and Guja V-Star isn't going to go anywhere. So Christian just needs to boss his orders, actually, just to try and get a sneaky little W here, because there is no Mu Vs now. So the option for Psychic Leap has been removed. And I might be correct in thinking Christian took a boss's orders from a flower setting. Could be wrong. But it could be, and all of a sudden, Christian, that's the power of the Drapion. You get 3 prizes,
I was going to say,
two-shot for the next one, yeah. So Christian not quite, out of it yet. Going down swinging, you love to see it.
I mean, Robin's got everything he needs, but yeah, while we're talking about all the things Robin's got and how close Robin is to winning, kind of Christians are like, sorry, I don't want to interrupt you guys, but actually, I can KO the Mew next turn if I can gust it.
Exactly, yeah.
So this is going to be a very interesting one. So, I mean, if you're Robin, you need to judge here and you need to... Oh, do you need to path? We saw him... No, there's only one Luminion and it's in the lost zone, so you don't need to path. It would be nice to turn off Greninja, of course, but you don't have to path to turn off the Luminion. But I think judge path here is probably the play.
Yeah, I think you have to just try and remove options and just, play to your outs, as it were. Robin identifying boss's orders is a common way for me to lose the game. I have to make it as unlikely as possible for Christian to pull that off. So, did power pad in 2 copies of Judge, hoping to draw into it now off the Fusion Strike system. Don't think he did. Could play Roxanne also. That is also a card to use in this scenario. Oh, no, that's a Rotom Phone, I apologize, not a Fusion Strike system. But, Robin could always use that V-Star power and be very selective. If it could use that to find Judge and or Roxanne as well.
Yeah, well, I mean, this game tells us he's not going to. It's just going to sit there. But it's nice he's got the option. It's nice he can if he wishes to. So I like Robin's position, but I don't like the fact that if your opponent hits a boss's orders, because at this stage of the game, you cannot deal with a Hisui Guja V-Star.
No.
It's too big, it's too powerful, you're not dealing with it. If you had all of your damage modifiers available, you could. You don't. So here, you really need to just KO the Cramorant and just hope. And if Christian doesn't have a Gust, he will lose next turn. But if Christian does have a Gust, he will win next turn. And we've got, sub 9 minutes left in this best of 3. So that's going to put us into a tie at that stage, most likely. So this is getting very interesting from Robin. I was overestimating his chances a little bit, but let's make no mistake about it. Robin has played this beautifully. It's just if you can take 3 cheeky prizes with Drapion and then 2 hit KO with Gudra, that's 3 attacks to win the game.
3 attacks to take 6 prizes, you'll take that. Robin really needs to see a Judge here. Oh, just get off the last card. Because Robin's deck's getting kind of small, so I mean, obviously we'll be shuffling those cards back in, but it could be something worth noting. Robin doesn't have crazy amount of resources left, and this is a really interesting scenario here. If you play the path, you shut off your own Genesect, but then I guess your Wincon is on board between your 2 Mews of DTs anyway. And there we see the Judge. Massive Judge here. Does Christian draw back away to get back boss's orders? 1 is in the prize cards. Just trying to see how many
he plays 3.
He plays 3, so 1's in the prize cards. I think 1. I don't think. Did he take 1 off the flower set? Or did he lost zone it?
I think he lost zone 1 at one point.
Think he lost?
It might have been off a chorus. I think I could be wrong. A lot has happened in this game, but I think I saw him lost. I think it was off a chorus. He lost zoned a chorus and a boss. I think he lost zone 2. Or it might have been a Roxanne and a boss.
Roxanne and boss.
I think he lost zone 2 supporters off of a chorus at one point because he needed the other things to kind of play right now. Christian, however, giving nothing away. He's not showing us his hand. I'd love it if he did.
Yeah. That's one of the things you can do is just don't even look at the cards. Don't give anything away. Just sorry, I have these 4. And let's see, so you probably always promote a Comfey, right? And
if you've got the boss, you promote Hisui and Guja, so he doesn't have it.
Oh,
he does have it! He does have the boss and the energy.
And the capture energy to retreat.
So you retreat the Comfey, boss up, put the Gudra, KO the Mew. We are tied at 1 game each, and we've only got 7 minutes left for a game 3. That was a very strange game where Robin was ahead all game, and then we turned around and...
Absolute... Christian there, not even promoting the Comfey before even looking at his side. Might have had boss, but not the energy, in which case you'd be like, oh my goodness. But had them both off the judge's orders. Christian there, coming back from the jaws of defeat, forcing a game 3. And yeah, getting right back in the swing of things.
I mean, the key turn for me in that game, the absolute key turn, was where he dropped the Drapion and he dropped the Gudra and attached an energy. And that was the big difference between Game 1 and Game 2. In Game 1, he used the Drapion, got the free prizes, and everyone said, well, now what? Now what are you going to do? But in Game 2, he dropped the Drapion, getting the Hisuian Gudra ready to be the next attacker. And that late in the game, with that many resources expended, there was no actual answer that Robin had to the Gudra. It was try and avoid it, but unfortunately, even with the judge, the boss just meant that Christian could win. An improbable win, I think it's fair to say, but really well played. And Christian kept his cool.
Yeah,
you're on stream, you're playing against a former world champion in round 6 of a really competitive special event. And the whole time, Christian's sitting there, and he's got this air about him, like, I've got this. Yeah, I've got this, boys.
Don't worry about it. Drapion will, get me free. Gudra V-Star will come out eventually. Like you said, 35 minutes into the round, I'll get the rolling iron. I'll use that twice, and then I'll even it up, and we'll go to a game 3. Like you said, absolutely smashing it there and doing really well. And like you said, just winning the game 3 attacks. I said that's all it can take. When you can take 3 prizes in 1 attack, 2 shot the next one. And yeah, wow, it's all going to a game 3.
Yeah, did not see that coming halfway through the game. That did not see the case. But like you say, getting the Drapion down and then getting the Gudra all set up and just kind of hoping. And it wasn't a perfect plan. You had to get the boss's orders and you were still on the back foot. But hey, you got the boss's orders. It did work. Job's a good one. And now going into game 3, there's not much time left for a game 3. That's the problem here. You're going to have something like 5 minutes remaining by the time we actually get rolling. And this is going to be a little bit of a problem here because is either player going to be able to finish it in the time allowed?
Well, I guess the sort of dreamer scenario here for Christian is hoping that Robin, just leads a Mew. Maybe you can get Drapion rolling quite quick. But the problem is for Christian, you're not a tempo deck by any means. You're not taking prizes fast. Robin, on the other hand, if Christian leads just an active passes, you can try and judge, try and bench out strategy. But I think that's the only way we're going to see a conclusion to game 3.
Yeah, that's how you see a conclusion to these kind of short game 3s that have to be short because they're running out of time. It has to be hope your opponent only has 1 or 2 Pokemon and then you go ahead and KO them. So certainly, things like a judge path to the peak. If Mew goes first, he gets a good start.
Yeah, that's a fair point.
Path to the peak plus judge. Then turn 2, you start KO and stuff with Mew. That can be what it does.
No, 100%. That could be a perfect win con here. And you have to imagine Robin will be going first. And like you said, just try and utilise that, saying, right, if I just get a Mew with an energy, try and stick path, try and hold an Ultra Ball or a Mew VMAX, you can just try and evolve and just start Technoblasting as soon as possible. I think Robin, I would say, is probably favoured in this sort of hurried game 3 scenario. I don't see many win cons for Christian, but and if anyone can pull it out, it's Robin. But wow, I'm amazed on that game 2. Oh my goodness.
Yeah, that game 2 was a thing of absolute beauty there. And it's really interesting kind of, you say about winning a quick game 3. Well, you've got your Drapion, which really, you don't get that until your opponent has the Mew VMAX.
Yeah.
And then you got the Gudra, which takes multiple turns to set up. Like, you're not built for a sudden death or short game scenario. That's not what we're doing here.
No, there's no way. Like, you need to get, 7 to the Lost Zone. You then have to Mirage Gate. And then you're only doing 200 damage. You're not one-shotting anything by any means. So, yeah, Christian, I think, is just going to try it, just try not to lose this game. And Robin's going to be trying to do everything he can to try to get this W and go to 6-0, I believe.
Yeah,
they go 5-0, right?
There are 2 players at 5-0 right here as it stands at the moment. So both of these players are trying to go to 6-0 and just, put themselves in a just phenomenal situation here. We are now finally going. We've had quite a long gap here. Wondering why we're not starting game 3 yet.
What if there was a load of mulligans, maybe, or something like this, or maybe just want to make sure they sufficiently shuffle. I'm not 100% sure, but looks like Robin, they both have their hands, and I don't know, maybe, it looks like they're getting ready to start at least. They have the opening hands there. Let's see. Oh, Robin does have a movie there. We did see that. So no mulligans there. Christian has a basic as well as the prize cards go down. And let's see what we're dealing with here. Oh, no, what was 2 Genesects and a Mew and a VMAX. Oh, my goodness.
Oh, that is not nice.
Yeah, so there's sort of a double whammy there. So, and he's going to find out really quickly off the back of this Battle VIP pass. So, looks like Robin is going first. And let's see what Robin can try to piece together here. There won't be much time for prize checking here, unfortunately, as Robin wants to... What was a 5 after... Oh, no. Wait. Was it?
I want to say it's a 3?
Yeah, it looks like it's 3. Or maybe... Oh, I know what's happening. He's just shuffling the deck off the VIP battle pass. That's what's happening.
I believe that is the case here. So, So yeah, so it's not a great start from Robin here. And you know, when we have those long gaps between games, I always start thinking like, wait, was that a 2-0 victory? Did I call the wrong winner? But no,
Could you
Christian
imagine?
definitely won their game. So we are into a game 3 here. And then at the round time, it says there's 3 minutes. I am interested to see if maybe there might be a time extension because of it took a few minutes to get going, or maybe whether that's already been added in.
Maybe.
For the time being, we've got to assume the time on the screen is correct. So yeah, we just have confirmation that the time on the screen is correct, so any time extension has already been added in. So now we are just 3 minutes remaining in this game, and like you say, it's going to take something like Christian having nothing. So if I'm Robin, oh no, that was it. That was the turn.
That was it. I think that's the problems when you prize Genesis. When you prize so many basic Pokemon, you haven't got that explosiveness, and Christian's just trying to find as many outs to Pokemon as possible there. So we see the quick ball. Doesn't see a Battle VIP pass in that Colress, unfortunately, but Christian does at least have 3 Pokemon in play once he plays that quick ball, leading the Hisui and Gudra V on the bench there. Love to see that. And let's see what Christian can manufacture here with 2 minutes left to go. Has the Greninja and has a quick ball, so you have to imagine, and gets a capture energy as well. So Christian's going to be able to get more Pokemon down than Robin. That's not something you see every day. Mew normally fills the bench instantly. Christian having so many Pokemon, and I think that's going to make it really hard for Robin to try and get the W here in this last game.
Yeah, that's the key thing. When you're looking at game 3, when it's very short of time, you're basically looking at number of bench Pokemon.
Yes.
If both players get a whole bunch of bench Pokemon out quickly, I mean, you do see wins, but you're talking about decks that can get a KO on a Pokemon V, that can get 1 KO before time is called,
yes,
and then they have 2 extra turns, 1 KO on each of those. That's how you get to 6 prizes. Unfortunately here, Robin hasn't taken a KO yet. There aren't enough 2-prize Pokemon on Christian's side of the board, and from Christian's point of view, you're not playing these Pokemon that can get up to these big KOing V situations fast enough, and that's why well, unless something unusual happens, and I am up for it, I would love it if something did, I do think we might be heading to a tie here. Then again, I thought Robin was going to win game 2 for most of it until Christian hit his Gudra magic, so you never know.
I tell you what, the more as this game sort of accelerates, Christian, I think, actually has because Christian can go Drapion and then try and maybe KO 2 Genesects, because if there's no other Courier, Rolling On actually KOs Genesect, so that could be win con there for Christian. But it does have, was that Drapion in hand? He didn't bench it, did he? No, he didn't bench it, no. So, but yeah, chances are not a great deal, just trying to fill the bench as many hefty things as possible and make it hard for Robin. And that's the sort of downside. If you prize so many Genesects and other basic Pokemon, you can actually start to grind to a halt in your early game. A little bit different for Robin there, as opposed to the first 2 games.
Yeah, unfortunately so. It's not the start Robin's looking for. We do see a retreat into another Comfey here. Now, this basically means that, assuming our timer is correct, and we've been told it is correct, that means that Christian is going to be turn 0, which means Christian's going to have this turn and 1 more remaining in order to try and take 6 KOs or run Robin out of bench Pokemon. And Robin is going to have 2 full turns to try and... But it looks like the conversation is happening. The fist bump is happening. Both players know it's not going to happen. And we see a tie there. And those were 2 very, very good players. We've got a world champion who is, well, known very little in the world over. And a Dutch player who I'm not terribly familiar with. But I think he's one of those players, if you're sitting here at 5-0 and then, you know, a real confident tie with a world champion, I think this is a player we might be seeing more of in the future.
I hope so. Like you said, currently 5-0 with Gudra.
5-0-1,
I should say. And then getting a tie from a world champion. And Gudra, I think it's a hard deck to navigate. I think there's definitely some decision making and some decision trees that, you know, can cost you. But yeah, fair play. I was really impressed actually with that best of 3. That was really phenomenal.
I'm kind of impressed by how we've been dodging Lugia on stream so far this weekend.
I'm sure the chat loved that as well.
There's not been that much Lugia on the stream, and that leads me into my point, which is we're seeing a lot of Hisui and Gudra. Now, trying to judge the tournament from what we show on stream is very much a fallacy, right?
Yeah.
Because we were only showing 1 game every round. But we're still showing good players, and Hisui and Gudra is out there. Stefan Ivanov is playing it. We've just seen one go to 5-0-1. Hisui and Gudra... It's a deck which has been very much on the fringes. But it seems like this tournament, from what I can see, and we're still early and we're lacking information, it really does seem like it might be a deck that's kind of on the rise. It's essentially, I think, the way we've been putting it on stream is really good against Lost Box, decent against everything else.
Yeah, and I think that's a fantastic sort of way to approach the metagame. We see Lost Box tends to be really popular here in Europe. You see less Reggies, for the most part, more Lost Box. And if you can say, right, I'm going to have a good Lost Box matchup. Against Mew, I'm going to try and do Drapion plus 2-shot, which we saw in Game 2. And against everything else, being a big, dense Pokemon that has a real high amount of HP and then damage reduction as well, it's a solid game plan. You know, you have some defensive strategies, Roxanne plus Temple of Sinnoh. It can go really well.
Absolutely can. So it does seem like we are going to have... Wait, I thought we were going to have a winner interview. We have no winner. We can't have a winner's interview without a winner. Okay, I think we are going to have a...
Just an interview.
Oh, we are going to go to a video. My apologies,
right.
I misheard that there, ladies and gentlemen. Sorry about that, but check this out. And do remember, we got so much more action coming.